Beautiful people, my name is Sarah Elgatian, the marketing person at the Midwest Writing Center. I'm super happy to be here with y'all. I'm welcome to Write More Light. I'm sorry I'm a day late. I had some real serious vertigo yesterday from an ear infection. I'm totally fine. I just could not look at a screen. So today, or yesterday rather, I wanted to talk about National Novel Writing Month. I think most people call it NaNoWriMo. I can't get my brain to say re. I always say NaNoWriMo, but that's not important. I just wanted to explain why I may be saying it wrong. It is something I've signed up for and never done. And I think that once, this is what I've witnessed, it may not be accurate. Once you, the general you, commit to it, it feels very scary, like you're always going to fail, which is why I've never lasted more than a day. Except this time, which, you know, it started at a very tense moment in American life. I think that we were all really full of anxiety, which makes it harder to you know, we already have all this pressure on ourselves, and adding anxiety never makes that easier. So let's talk about it. I don't think that there is any reason that all people should or should not do it. National Novel Writing Month. I have noticed an uptick this year in NaNoWriMo, National Blog, nope, NaBlo, National Blog Writing Month. I really love that idea as someone who, while I do write fiction, it's not where I've leaned in recent history with my writing. And I don't have a blog, not a proper one anyway. But the uptick in these blog writing versions of it is really important, and I want to talk about why. And I want to talk about why, you know, as an essay writer like me, or letter writer, I'm an epistolary, or a poet, why this can be just as useful, and also why you don't have to write a novel, why you don't have to you know, follow the rules as they've been maybe presented. There are no hard fast rules. There's no one's going to kick you out for not writing fiction, right? There are some really cool things that go along with National Novel Writing Month. If you sign up on the website, you know, they have community groups, like in your community, which you know, during COVID may not be you know, the same level of community or interaction, but I would think ordinarily there are groups that actually get together in person and encourage each other, but there's also you know, tons and tons associated with that local community thing. I personally find myself much more reliable when I'm accountable to someone outside of myself. So having other people there working on the same project, especially at the same time. More on study groups later, or what I call study groups, but are really probably just productivity groups. So that's, you know, those are all good reasons to engage with it. But there's a lot of stuff that I've had qualms with in my head because of the rules that I see that are not real rules. That's most of what I'm talking about here. You don't have to write 50,000 words. It doesn't have to be fiction. It doesn't have to be one story, one narrative, right? That's what a novel is, right? One, or at least one narrative that comes out of many, one volume, 50,000 words, fiction. But that's just not going to work for me, at least not if I want to really do it. And that's where I want to encourage people. You know, we do these Write More Light videos to be a community resource, to encourage you to create your art, to, I don't know what side is which, to watch my cat lick himself. That's Jupiter. He loves having a tower behind me. So with that, with the intention being to assist our community in writing more light into their lives. I want to talk about what works for me, and what may work for you. Got another cat. And you know why rules can be so difficult. Like I said, being accountable to someone outside of myself is really, really helpful for me to maintain productivity. And sometimes structure is the most important thing in the world, but when I get too much structure, I just feel stuck. So that's why what I'm doing, as I've committed myself to participating in National Novel Writing Month 2020, I'm just writing every day, and there's someone for me to check in with. I have joined the Quad Cities Discord server for National Novel Writing Month. I'll see if there's a Facebook page or something I can link to. I don't do a lot of that. I didn't mean to like advertise it, but most of us are in the Quad Cities, so there is a community out there for us that exists that is doing the same thing. I also want to shout out to my buddy Tyler, who is actually checking in with me every day to make sure I'm writing when he writes, which is so great. As I can, I want to do it at the same time as him, just to be like, look, we're doing this thing, I'm being accountable, but it's all about whatever works for you. Generally, I think that we know ourselves best, so you can definitely go with what you know will work for you, but there's a lot of experimentation that was necessary for me to figure out what works for me, and that is not a problem. If you find that something doesn't work for you, good, you can check that off the list. I am not forcing any further rules upon myself for National Novel Writing Month. I'm not writing an hour a day, although historically that's worked for me. I have an app on my phone that turns off my phone. I mean, I like to have the internet available to me when I'm writing. Sometimes I need to look up a word or a concept, like I'm just not totally sure what I'm doing and I need to do a little research. Luckily, I have a computer, which works for that purpose and is somehow less distracting than my phone. My phone has a lot of different toys on it. But right now, I know that with, I have more than one job right now. I just moved, so there's still a lot of work to do around this house. Committing myself to an amount of time is really, really difficult for me. And I'm going to feel a lot of pressure if I do that. Committing myself to, I haven't done the math, someone has done the math, how many words a day I would need to write. I write on paper. I'm not going to count how many words I get out. And for the first 3 days, I was just journaling, and I hadn't done that in a long time. I hadn't done any kind of writing, probably not at all in October. So that is a really important part of getting back in the habit. I know that when I talk about writer's block, my first advice for everyone is to journal, and that's because that's what works for me. There's a lot to be said for general free writing. I will throw in the comments when I'm done with this the journal prompt sheet that we always use, because just having something to make you go is what really, really matters. Keeping a practice alive is more important than completing a piece. If you don't have a practice alive, you can't complete a piece. I know there are people out there in the world who can sit down and write for 8 hours and then not write for a month, and bless them. I don't know a lot. I don't know anyone like that. I'm told they exist. So if you're not a novel writer or a blog writer, that doesn't mean that you can't take advantage of the added community, the added resources, and the added motivation of National Novel Writing Month. In October, lots of visual artists make art for October, and that's the same thing, right? Having a push to do the thing that the whole rest of the world is doing. I would also say other things that work for accountability. I know this is maybe going more into maintaining your writing practice than National Novel Writing Month, but more things to consider for accountability are, post a screenshot of what you wrote that day. Rough is scary to show to the world, but if you're a typer, also you don't have to be a typer, you could take a picture of your page. That might even be better because my handwriting is sloppy and you probably can't read it. But I'm out there showing you I did the thing, which is what the artists, I know that the visual tag that they use is Inktober. I've also heard that that's problematic, and I don't know the details, which is why I was avoiding saying it. Anyway, that's what these artists are doing, the visual artists, when they show us, hey, I made this thing today. I made it because I had to, because I have to make one thing every day, and maybe it's sloppy, but I did it. And that's something that we as literary artists can do as well. It's a little scarier, I think, because words have an exactness to them that, you know, where visuals can be ambiguous. But it's all the same. There's a level of vulnerability in showing something that you made in a hurry and made on a deadline that keeps us accountable. So I do advise that. Maybe you even just have it on like a very private blog or social media account. Maybe a totally private one, but maybe it does keep you accountable. Highly, highly advise that. Or better, and something that I have actually done, not consistently. I might actually pick this up and do this for the rest of the month on the MWC account. But your favorite sentence of the day. Actually, yes, I will do that. My favorite sentence or phrase that I wrote each day, I will be posting on this account. Also, follow us on the other social medias. We have Twitter and Instagram. We may expand in the near future, but I'm not making promises. Both of those are at MWC_QC. So you will be able to see my best sentence of the day on those, or best line, whatever. That'll keep us all accountable. Of course, my primary thing here, I've already said a few times, take advantage of this moment, this month, where so much of our writing community is so much more active than usual. Building, restarting, maintaining your writing practice in November is going to help you, maintain it through December, January. I always say that every time I go to a writing event, I'm so much more productive for the next month or two. Same goes for National Novel Writing Month or National Blog Writing Month. We, when motivated, it stays with us. Maybe not forever, but for a little while, and then we can re-up on that motivation with, classes or the next one. I know also that National Novel Writing Month does camps. I don't know when. I think in April. Again, I have never fully engaged with it. This is my first time, and I'm not consistently writing fiction. I do have don't like admitting this publicly. It's very scary for me. I do have a novel in the works. It's not 50,000 words. I haven't worked on it consistently, but I could be doing that, and I'm not, because it's not what's going to make me my most productive or most successful writer. I will, some days it will absolutely be the project I work on, but that's one that's very, very personal, and I want it to keep coming the way it comes, which is okay, which is kind of my point. We have to figure out what works and do that through experimentation. It takes a long time to figure out what works for you, and this is the perfect time to do that with the extra edge of vulnerability that comes with this daily accountability. So in general, too, I want to recommend, in addition to the vulnerability and the accountability, in addition to the vulnerability, I want to recommend that you be accountable. Find someone who will be your accountability buddy. I will bump the Midwest Writing Center's Writers Studio Group. We meet the first and third Saturdays of every month, 11 to 1 Central Time. We have a Zoom group. You can get the link from us. And that's just, we come, we talk about the struggles and triumphs of our writing, and then we look at each other's writing for support, for workshopping. And that's a great way to maintain accountability. There's a community there ready to be there for that. I think that these themed months are so important to artists, especially in the age of technology, because it it reminds us that our 9 to 5s, our daily life, are not the whole of our identity. And maybe we're not all pushing out writing for publication, but we are artists, even if we're not doing that. You don't have to have your name in lights to be valid and to be successful and to be talented. And that's why this is so important. That's why Inktober is important too. So I guess the short of that is bend the rules however you need to be successful. If you don't write for 2 days, that doesn't mean that you're not doing it right. It means that you didn't write for 2 days. Take advantage of the hashtags out there and be vulnerable about it to whatever extent that you're comfortable. Vulnerability isn't easy, but it does help us stay accountable. There are fitness blogs out there doing the same thing as with the accountability posts and the vulnerable moments. And that's how we as humans are successful. If you're a poet, if you are a nonfiction writer, if you're a short form writer, I would still say there is a space for you out there in any of these National Writing Month groups. For those not familiar with Discord, I made a reference to a Discord group earlier. It's just a chat client, but it functions in groups so that you can, separate all your different groups out there. It's like Slack, and it's where a lot of people are these days, especially niche groups. So that is another place to find accountability groups. I think I've mostly said all of my stuff that I wanted to get out there. I am always going to be a proponent for bending the rules to fit your needs in regard to your craft. If anybody wants to talk about what that means, it's hard to be specific. I've told you my examples. I am not writing a novel, but I'm taking advantage of the community and the temporary movement that November brings to restart my writing practice. That is just as available to poets, to nonfiction writers, to experimental writers, to mixed media writers. It's a really good time to be a writer in November, just because the resources are more readily available. Of course, at the Midwest Writing Center, we will always be here to provide you with resources, advice, classes. We definitely want you to contact us. Drop your stuff in the comments. Your struggles, your triumphs, your questions, comments, and concerns. Ryan and I are here to provide the resources, to provide support for writers, for educators, to foster appreciation for the written word. That's part of our mission statement. But at the end of the day, what's special about November, what's special about National Blank Writing Month is that we're all out there trying to get together, trying to be better, trying to be productive in a community way. And we view writing so often as a solitary game, and that's often not the way to be the most productive or successful in your work. In that same vein, we expect that writers will write, over their keyboard, and the work vanishes into the night to become a bestseller or whatever. But being a writer, especially one who publishes, also involves reading, which is usually in a room full of other people. There's not a whole lot solitary to writing outside of that the words are coming out of a single hand or mind, which isn't even necessarily true. We can collaborate. And I think it's really, really important to also use November as an opportunity to break out of that mindset. If we don't have a community to turn to, our writing probably isn't going to improve. We need to read other writing, and that is another thing that makes us not solitary. We are always in conversation with other writers, whether or not they're living, whether or not they're in the room with us. Part of being a writer is being in a conversation with the world around you. Part of being an artist is being part of a conversation with the world around you. And not being a fiction writer doesn't preclude you from participating in events that are good for you as a writer. So I say take advantage of the resources that are out there that are abundant right now, and take advantage of the Midwest Writing Center also wanting to connect you with each other with resources. I'm going to sign off for the day. I don't think you need to hear me say any more times. I hope that everyone has a great day, a safe day. I hope that tensions are lessening out there, and I hope that we can all write more light into our lives. With that, of course, I want to leave you with a free write on anxiety. I'm not going to make you sit here with me for 5 minutes, because I am sitting on the floor and there is no notebook near me. But I hope that you will do yourself a 5-minute free write. A character dealing with anxiety, your own experience with anxiety. The idea of tension is part of that. The tension experienced in, like a tightening a rope, or a leaf losing its connection with the tree that it's falling from. I guess I should have said tension instead of anxiety. That's where my mind is, right? Like I said, reach out at any time. We want to be there for you. Write more light.